Enumerate and discuss postmodern and modern culture in a worldwide view. Postmodern. Postmodernism is a term current inside and outside the academic study of popular culture. It has entered discourses as different as pop music, journalism, and Marxist debates on the cultural condition of late or multinational capitalism, as Angela McRobin 1994 observes. Postmodernism has entered into more diverse number of vocabularies more quickly than most other intellectual categories, such as spread outwards from the realms of art history into political theory, pages of youth culture magazine, record sleeve, and fashion pages of VIG. Deck-Hebage 1988 list of terms used. The possible for people to describe as postmodern, the decor of a room, the design of a building, the digesis of a film, the construction of a record, or a scratch video, a television commercial, or an arts documentary, or the intertextuality relation between them, the layout of the page in a fashion magazine, or critical journal, a proliferation of surfaces, a new pace in commodity fetishism, a fascination for images, codes, and styles, a process of cultural, political, or essential fragmentation and crisis, and etc. When it becomes possible to describe all these things as postmodern, then it's clear we are in the presence of a buzzword 2009. Two examples of postmodern. One, pop music, and two is the television. Postmodern pop music, Jameson's 1984. The difference between modernist and postmodernist pop music is quite clear. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones represents a modernist movement against which punk rock, The Clash, and new wave Talking Heads can be seen as postmodernist. Andrew Goodwin, 1991, has quite correctly pointed out that Jameson compressed time-span solution pop music culture's rapid progression through realism, rock and roll, modernism, postmodernism, enabling Jameson to establish a modernist moment against which to mark out a postmodernist response is a very difficult argument to sustain. Postmodern television. Television, like pop music, does not have a period of modernism to which it can be post, but as Jim Collins 1992 points out, television is often seen as the quintessence of postmodern culture. This claim can be made on the basis of a number of television textual and contextual features. If we take a negative view of postmodernism as the domain of simulations, then television seems an obvious example of the process, with its supposed reduction of the complexities of the world to an ever-changing flow of deepness and banal visual imagery. The aspects of postmodernism. Postmodernism and the pluralism of value. Postmodernism has disturbed many of the old certainties surrounding questions of cultural value. In particular, it has problematized the question of why some texts are canonized, while others disappear without trace, that is, why only certain texts supposedly pass the test of time. The selective tradition, as Williams 2009 points out, is governed by many kinds of special interest, including class interest. Therefore, rather than being a natural repository and tend to correspond to its contemporary system of interest and values, for it's not an absolute body of work, but a continual selection and interpretation. Particular interest, articulated in specific social and historical contexts, always inform the selective tradition in this way. What constitutes the selective tradition is much about policing knowledge as it about organizing theories of critical inquiry. The global postmodern. The world is said to be becoming postmodern is in its increasing globalization. Perhaps the dominant view of globalization, especially in discussion of globalization and culture, is to see it as the reduction of world to an American global village. According to the scenario, globalization is the supposed successful imposition of American culture around the globe, in which the economic success of America capitalism is underpinned by the cultural work that its commodities supposedly though ineffectively destroying the indigenous cultures and imposing an American way of life on local populations. It represents a very succinct version of this argument. Convergence culture. Another aspect of the postmodern is convergence culture, where old and new media collide, where grassroots and corporate media intersect, where the power of the media producer and the power of the media consumer interact in unpredictable ways. Henry Jinskins, 2006. Convergence involves the flow of media content across a range of different platforms. Convergence culture, like most popular culture discussed in this book, is a site of struggle and negotiation. Convergence is both a top down, corporate driven process and a bottom up, consumer driven process. Corporate convergence coexists with grassroots convergence. Media companies are learning how to accelerate the flow of media content across delivery channels to expand revenue opportunities, broaden markets, and reinforce viewer commitments. Name: Lopio Leona. Course and section: BTVTED 2C, major in garments, fashion, and design.